Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, September 15th. That's right, it is hump day. Woo, woo! We're making it halfway through the week. And let's take a look at our markets. We're sitting very, very flat here this morning. There is a nice little bump in Bitcoin, so we'll see if the SPY decides to go ahead and pick up with that. But overall, we are really, really flat going into the session. Maybe a few points up, a few points down here or there, but nothing exciting going on in the broader picture. Yesterday, we were very hyper-focused on this 50. You can see this. Let me just go ahead and blow that up just a smidgen. So this is the futures, right? This is not during the day. We typically watch just the SPY or maybe the SPX, the full index. The futures market obviously trades pretty much all day, at least 23 hours of the day. And you can see here, look how very, very close we came to this 50. So does that mean that we're going to still go down and test that 50? Maybe. Remember those moving averages. You don't have to hit them necessarily to the penny in order to consider that a good touchback. So now the level we're watching, we're still watching the 50 here, right, just to the lower side of us. And then you can see this little bit of a shelf sitting right here. I'm going to go ahead and draw that in. This is going to the top side. It's not even all the way through the wick of yesterday. This is going to be a little bit stickier of a level. And you can see coming back here, it was a level. We used it as some support here. It's now becoming resistance again. Just going to keep an eye on that. But remember, keep a good eye on the 50. Another thing to think about is Friday, we have triple witching. Monday and Tuesday, FOMC. So maybe a lot more of the boring day as we move into those FOMC meetings. Remember, in October, we don't even have to worry about FOMC. We don't have them again until November. Yay. Okay, anyway, this is the S&P. But let's take a quick look at Bitcoin. I mentioned that this is moving back up. As we came into yesterday's session, we were just looking at this, this very long doji candle that said, I don't know what I want to do. Yesterday, we came in and put in a really nice bullish candle, although the volume was not great. But this morning, we are actually pulling that 3 up over the 8. We're testing and just pushing up over that 20. So we're coming right back into a pretty good range here. Like the look of this now for a move back on up to that 50,000, which of course is a pretty sticky spot for it. But it's up. Bitcoin is up over 2% this morning. So we'll keep an eye on that. Some good plays in there, probably Mara, Riot, Ethereum, Coin. There's a bunch of them. Was it? I wish I could remember the one on the Canadian side. I'll have to ask some of our Canadian friends for that. But overall, nice little look here. Keep an eye on it, and definitely want to make sure we stay above this level. There we go. Okay, so let's move on into some things that are moving this morning. Yesterday, we talked a bit about semiconductors. Some of the semiconductors were catching a bid. Now, not all of them. It was really specific, name specific, but one that caught our attention in the room in the afternoon. Look at AMD. I know it doesn't really look like a lot of excitement here, but when we go back and look at the intraday, that caught our attention. We kept cruising up. We faded off at the end of the day with a lot of things faded off as we went into the close. But AMD showing some decent signs of life, a little bit more excited. And when AMD moves, we know it can move, right? Even this is really exaggerated, but look at this. We catch a little bid and move, right? Catch a little bid, we move. So we're looking for this nice, we almost touched the 50 back here. So we're looking for some continuation on this. I actually like it over the 20 personally, but take a look at that. I like the 110s there in AMD. Nvidia is another one. These have been pretty quiet, and they're starting to, they've I guess settled out, right? They're not continuing to fail here. We bought the 3 nicely back to the 8, just kind of squished along here. A doji candle, so this is a very undecided candle. Yesterday, we're looking for a move back to the top side in this toward that 230. Now, I'm going to draw on a trend line, and it's going to cut. I know typically you don't want to cut off any of the price action, but I am just to show, look, we used it a few times, and although we came in really hot and heavy the other day, we dropped like a rock. So that was on Monday, and then Tuesday falling right back in. So this trend line is kind of where I would look for an entry. I like Nvidia, the 225s. All right, and TXN, that's the other one. Here we go. TXN, we looked at this one yesterday morning. It was on our list, and it's just really kind of hanging out with this this price level here at the 195. Looking for a move over yesterday's close to go back up and test that 197.58 and then potentially a breakout. This has been consolidating and really just accumulating for so long. Just looking for a really nice break there in TXM. And I would continue to watch the 200s. Yesterday I was watching the 195s. So the 195 or the 200 there look pretty good. Hanging around in some of these names. Let's take a look at Facebook. I know several of you are in Facebook. I love this downward trend line here, kind of making a little descending wedge. 3 just sitting sandwich with the 8. Really does feel kind of like this is poised to make a nice little move, push higher to potentially test that 384. I like it over yesterday's close or yesterday's high there in Facebook. But again, I know that Nate is in that. I like the 380s. I would just continue to keep an eye on that. Yesterday, Edie brought up net in the morning, brought it up. It had a really nice move before settling in halfway into its candle. But now we're looking for that 3 to come pull back nicely away from the 8. Let me get rid of this trend line. I know, lots of trend lines. I like the look. It just gives us a nice clear picture of where an entry would be. So here, anything over yesterday's close or over that trend line in net. I like the 130s and staying kind of in this area. Pan W is another one that looks pretty good. So it popped up out of its little range yesterday, came back in. So we're looking for it to hold the low of yesterday's candle for an entry, or the anything above the open from yesterday. We want to have that continued move along in there. All right, Snap, right? We haven't talked about this one in a while. We're looking for a move back up over the 50. We poked up over it yesterday, closed just below it, but so it did pop up on a scan yesterday. This one's been pretty beaten up. We still held a good portion of this gap here from earnings. So it looks very messy and choppy because there's a lot in the market that looks that way. But I really like this one for a move, for a hold and close above the 50 to start making its way there to the 20. In Snap, I would take a look at the 75s in Snap. What else? Oh, AFRM. This one is coming up on our volume scan that we have over there in FinViz. So, kind of funky here because it did have this really nice gap up. Super long leg candles, tall wicks, or long tails here, but holding a good portion of its gap as well. Looking for it to kind of catch and maybe settle out somewhere here around the 107, 108 region for a then continued move back up. So just keep an eye on that one. It's not set up quite perfectly yet, but anything like the AFR 115s is what I would maybe take a look at there. Another one off of earnings. Lulu hasn't really done much, right? It's kind of just stuck here, holding that level really well though. So looking for a reversal back up in this. Anything that moves back through yesterday's close in Lulu. And DraftKings, one that we've been kind of watching here. So this took quite the tumble yesterday, along with resorts, gaming resorts that would be affected by China and them closing down for COVID. They were pretty forceful in basically shutting everything back down. Well, that would obviously really affect resorts like Wynn and MGM and LVS. Well, it kind of took some of these online sites with it. DraftKings and Penn looking for a move to the 20 and then a reversal back up, and DKNG kind of keep an eye on the 60s there. And I think that about does it. The couple others that I didn't set up, but I kind of like, I didn't like any of their options. INTU came up on our scan. You know what? This is just such a pretty orderly chart, just kind of creeping and crawling, making its way back up there toward those highs at 582, but I didn't see any options on it. Crocs is one that caught our attention yesterday. I don't remember who pointed out, but said, holy Crocs. Yeah, look at this thing. It had some really good news, some buyback, some good numbers, online sales, really helping Crocs out here. So what I do like about this, had this huge pop-up, but look, where it settled out, closed us right above all of this noise, right? This seems very noisy. Anything above yesterday's close for a move back up to that 157.80 is what I like. Now, I didn't see any options on it that I particularly cared for at this time, but if it gets more attention today, typically it doesn't have higher volume. So sometimes it just completely misses my scans. Although I wear Crocs at some point almost every single day. So there you go. All right, so this is the area that we are watching in Crocs for a continued move on. All right, that is it for me this morning. I hope you have a fantastic day. If you have any questions, be sure to reach out, heatherc@givingtreetrading.com.